This is WXL23, the world's most advanced weather app. Made by weather nerds, this is both the most accurate and most ugly weather app you will ever use in your life. Because weather apps suck. Is it raining? Is it sunny? Can I plan for snow next weekend? You'd think with all the satellites and advancements in technology, we'd be on the same page about this. But no, weather apps are all over the place. I mean, has Apple Weather even been accurate once? And check this out. AccuWeather has a 45-day forecast. What? That's not possible. Oh, and look, you can pay for the 90-day forecast. AccuWeather's prediction of what the weather's gonna be like 90 days in the future might as well be randomly generated. Any weather nerd will tell you that. Speaking of weather nerds, the app we're looking at today was built by one. And you can tell because clearly it's not trying to be pretty. But here's the thing. I promise you this weather app will be the most accurate weather app you ever use. Ever. So in today's episode, we're gonna dive into the basics of WXL23. We'll look at how to even navigate this thing, a bunch of useful settings you should be using, and tons of features you won't find in any other weather app. It's gonna get juicy. And by the end of this video, you might even become a meteorologist weather nerd yourself. Get ready. It's time for a closer look. Okay, first things first, when you're ready to download the app, you're literally just gonna go to the App Store and type in WXL23. Oops, I missed a number there. What the heck is this? And there it is. Underneath the ad, we've got WXL23 download. And check that out, 4.9 stars. Woo! And by the way, if you're an Android user, well, you're in luck because the WXL23 app on Android actually has a lot more features. But for us iPhone schlubs, let's keep pushing forward and open up the app. Great, now we are here in the app and this is about as bare bones as it gets. I mean, look at this thing. In fact, on the official GitHub page, Josh Green, the creator of this app, said this: if you are looking for wasted screen real estate or fancy graphics, this app is not for you. And you might notice if you're a keen-eyed viewer, it doesn't ask us for any location services. It doesn't ask us for anything. And it automatically puts us in Oklahoma. So complete respect over privacy. But very first thing we're gonna look at is your location. You can see it in the top left corner here. This just says home. But if I tap that, it lets me add however many locations I want. Okay, so for me, I'm just going to do Dallas, Texas. Perfect, and click the little check mark button up there, and then I'm gonna back out to my home screen. And now we're looking at Dallas weather. Next up, if we just start going through here, very top of the screen, we've got our current conditions. So that is how the weather is looking right now. And okay, so if you read this to me, it just kind of seems like a bunch of nonsense. Don't worry, I'm gonna break down what all of this means. I've actually enlisted the help of my iPad. Here it is. And I'm just gonna open this guy up. First of all, this is looking pretty glary, so I'm gonna need to prop this up. I've got this drone case here. Let's see if that does the trick. Just a touch too big. Oh, there I am. Let's find something a little bit smaller. How about this? That's a little better, right? Okay, now second problem, my screen's a little bit dirty, so I'm just gonna clean that up real quick. Oh, this stuff stinks. Okay, so I've taken the liberty of capturing a few screenshots and putting them into my iPad here. And we're just gonna use this to go through line by line and figure out exactly what each of these pieces means. So first things first, we've got mostly cloudy. That part's pretty obvious. And then here we've got both the temperature outside and the heat index, also known as the feels like temperature. So while this number is just how hot it actually is outside, the number in parentheses uses the current humidity combined with the current temperature and tells you how hot it feels like it is outside. You ever hear the expression, it's not the heat, it's the humidity? Yeah, this is based on that. You'll see this in tons of weather apps. And if these two numbers are the same, then it'll just be one temperature number. That's actually what happened in my Nashville, Tennessee screenshot, which is why I had to have 2 screenshots and not just one. So moving on, we've got clear weather with 75 degrees. Up next, we have all of this information here, which is about wind. Now, W in W, that's the direction of the wind. This just means west, northwest. It's between west and northwest direction. So, and then all the rest of this right here, right here, this is the wind speed. So the way you would read this is sustained wind speed of 13 miles an hour with gusts up to 22 miles per hour. So the actual wind speed is really 13, but there are gusts of wind that can get up to 22 miles per hour. Again, you will not always see this on every forecast. Sometimes the wind speed is very stable, like it is in Dallas right now. Again, the reason I couldn't use Dallas the whole time is because the wind speed didn't line up. But let's go back to Tennessee because Dallas got really, really small for some reason. Okay, great. Let's move on to the next line. Okay, here we have the dew point and then the humidity itself. So humidity is measured in percentage, and this is literally saying how saturated is the air with water. So there's a limit to that, right? The air, let's just draw the air, it can only get so saturated before eventually it's just 100% saturated. And at that point, it literally cannot get any more humid at the current temperature outside. This number right here tells you the humidity right now, or earlier in Tennessee, it was at 33%, which is not bad at all. That's pretty crisp actually. And the dew point on the left here, it's similar, but not really. So don't let this fool you. It says 44 degrees right here. With the current conditions in the air, the temperature outside, which is currently 75 degrees, the temperature outside would have to drop all the way down to 44 degrees in order for the humidity to be 100%. So at 75 degrees, the humidity is at 33%. But if it got down to 44 degrees, we would be at 100% humidity. So why is that here? Why does that matter? Well, this is actually an incredibly useful number because the farther away these two numbers are, the more crisp it'll feel outside. Earlier today in Dallas, Texas, it actually was 75 degrees outside and the dew point was 75 degrees, which means the humidity was at 100%. Now, when you go outside, and I did go outside, it didn't feel that bad. You could tell it was humid, but the temperature was still pretty low, only 70%. And so that led to it not really being too bad outside. It's both the temperature and humidity that matter here. But all right, let's move on from dew points. Right here, we've got atmospheric pressure. So this is reading 1015 millibars. That's what the MB stands for, millibars. And this measures how heavy the air above us feels. So the standard number for this is 1013 millibars. But this number can increase or decrease by about 50 millibars. Those are the extremes of the range. So like if the atmospheric pressure is below 1,000, for example, say it's 995, you are very, very likely to have upset weather, have some stormy conditions. And if you go even lower, like 980 or 970 or 960, you're in for some nasty weather. I mean, that's hurricane conditions. On the other hand, if you go above millibars, higher and higher and higher pressure, that tends to lead to calmer conditions. But if you have really high millibars, that can lead to cold waves in the winter and heat waves in the summer, make things really, really hot or really, really cold. So still a helpful number to watch out for. 10-15 is obviously a touch high, but that's not enough of a difference to really notice anything. By the way, meteorologists prefer MB, millibars, but not everybody does. In fact, if you're watching the Weather Channel on TV, they'll probably use a completely different metric. It's called inches of mercury. It looks like this. Inches of mercury, NHG, right? So if you would prefer to use this metric, you can. All you have to do is tap the 3 dots in the top right, go to settings, and then user interface. And then right here, it says use millibars. We will just turn that off. Now if I go back, you'll have to zoom in here. Oh, it's actually not changed. Let me try restarting the app. Okay, I just restarted the app and there it is, 29.94 inches. I don't know the metrics for inches of millibars, but the option's there if you want it. I'm going to switch it back. All right, next up, we have got visibility. So this says 10 miles. This is the highest this number goes. 10 miles is the maximum. If it's less than that, say 5 miles, like it was this morning in Dallas, Texas, that means you have got some fog or something like that. Something making it hard to see, dust or fog, whatever. And let's go to the third line. Well, the third line is just your location. So we've got we've got the date, time, location. Oh, and then this bit at the end here, this is where you're getting your weather data from. And it says here, KJWN. Let's actually look that up and see if we can figure out what that stands for. John C. Toon Airport in Nashville, Tennessee. So a lot of times it's gonna be from an airport because they have to have accurate weather conditions. But yeah, that is it. Wow. There is a lot of stuff in that little 3 lines of text. So next, let's move on to the rest of the home screen. I'm just gonna keep this thing out. Okay, so right here in between your current conditions and the forecast, you'll have hazards, weather hazards. So it'll look something like this. I just changed my location to somewhere that had a thunderstorm warning. So here is what it will look like. You can see we've got thunderstorm warning and thunderstorm watch. And if I tap on either of these, it's just the normal message that the National Weather Service sends out. And that's all pretty typical. Moving on though, we have our forecast. So here you can see the day and night forecast every day, 7 days into the future, because that is as far as we can accurately predict. Looking at you, 90-day forecast on AccuWeather. Guys, don't use that forecast. Come on, it's a scam. It's a scam. You're getting scammed. Just delete the app. Download this instead. It's so great. You just got to learn it. Once you've learned it, you'll love it. Now, these are much, much more readable than the current conditions are. It's pretty much just a block of text that kind of, in just normal English, tells you what the weather's gonna be like, which I appreciate. But that is technically a bit of wasted screen space. So, of course, there's a setting to turn it off. So you'll just go to the 3 dots, settings, user interface, right here, show less information on the main screen. If I just turn that on, now we have very tight, very, very compact forecast, 7-day forecast. So if you prefer this, you can do this. I think I like the other mode better. By the way, I did have to restart the app in order to see the change. That seems to be a little bit of a problem. Sometimes you'll have to see it, I have to restart the whole thing just to get that to update. But it takes 5 seconds, and once you have your settings down, you're not gonna need to change them. Anyways, finally, the last thing is at the bottom, we've got sunrise and sunset times, as well as dawn and dusk. So that is our home screen. But even though it's already a lot of information, you might be thinking, Alex, I thought you said this was the world's most advanced weather app. This thing doesn't even have an hourly forecast. Well, don't worry, baby. This is not all the main screen has to offer. Let's enable the secret features. So I'm gonna go to my settings again, the 3 dots, the settings. Oh, by the way, there actually is an hourly forecast right here, but you can put it on your home screen. That's what I'm gonna show you. Here it is, right here, home screen. Tap on that. And here we have listed 3 things by default in the order they appear: current conditions, hazards, and forecast. And to add stuff, I'll just tap on this little plus in the bottom right corner. And I have all these different options. I'm gonna add all of them, except for the local NextRad radar. I prefer the actual radar, which has more settings and is more usable in general. Everything else I'm gonna go ahead and add. I'll start with the hourly forecast and then the area forecast discussion. And I think the last thing is the hazardous weather outlook. All right, let's go back and let's check these out. Oh, by the way, there's also more options here. You can add all of these options that are just text related things. And I'm not gonna go into all of this. There's a lot. And also there's images. You can add just these images if you want. Again, I don't want, but it's cool. All right, let's go back and let's look at these new features. All right, first off, the hourly forecast, and holy moly, that is as bare bones as it gets, I'm telling you. This gives you, wow, can you even see this? Well, I'll have to zoom in, but I think you can see it. So this gives you the day of the week, the current time in military time, the temperature at that time, the wind speed, the wind direction, and the current conditions. Now, the current conditions do use slightly abbreviated language. It's pretty obvious what this means, but if you are having trouble, just scroll down and they have a whole key down here at the bottom, what every single word means. Now, I don't like 24-hour military time, so I'm gonna go ahead and change that. I'll just go to settings again, user interface, and then it's the third from the top, hourly screen show with AM, PM. Check that on, there it is. 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., yeah, that's much better. Great, let's move on. All right, so next up, probably one of my favorite features in WXL23. This is the area forecast discussion. You may or may not be familiar with what this is. You don't see it in a lot of weather apps, but this is essentially a professional report from real meteorologists about the expected weather conditions in your area. Let me say that again. Basically, a bunch of weather experts sit down and write extremely easy to read and understand information about what the upcoming weather looks like. So if you're worried about the weather or you just want to see what next week holds, this is such a great resource to see what they're thinking. And it's right on the home screen of your weather app. So cool. Let's see what they're thinking right now. Short term, as of 7 p.m. this evening, the radar scope shows 2 severe storms in our area, as well as scattered dryline convection to our west. So they do have some terms here that are like, it's a little bit more complicated, but it's super easy to read and you feel like a meteorologist as you read it. And there actually is one more thing, the hazardous weather outlook. Now, this is only going to be in locations that have multiple days of expected severe weather. Let's see if I can find a location that has that right now. I'm gonna guess somewhere up north, maybe a snowstorm or something. Let's try Wisconsin, why not? Here we go, this has one. So this is a little bit of a confusing order because this is where the hazardous weather outlook starts. Yeah, it's just a big block of text. So I'm actually gonna go to my settings and I'm gonna rearrange. I'm gonna put the hourly forecast in between the area forecast and hazardous weather outlook. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. Let's put the hazardous weather outlook right underneath hazards, just so I see it front and center. There we go. That's a little better. Again, this only shows up if there is days and days of hazardous weather. Okay, so if I tap on this, you can see it's telling me day 1, tonight, this is what's expected. Days 2 through 7, this is what's expected. It just gives you what's expected for every stage of the severe weather outlook. Very helpful if you're in a condition like this or a situation. Okay, so we've looked at a lot, but I think it's time we move on to my favorite feature of any weather app, the radar. WXL23 does have a really good radar, but I'd recommend changing a few settings first. So let's go to our settings and let's tap on radar. And here's what I think you should change. Here's what I recommend. First of all, I would only recommend doing this if you actually want this app to have your location. I'm assuming since it's a weather app, you're okay with it having your location, but just saying. What I like to turn on is location marker follows GPS. I would turn that on right now, but then it's gonna ask for my real location, and since I'm filming a video, I'm not going to do that. Also at the top here, center radar on location. I also, while we're here, I like to turn on cities. Let's turn on cities. And finally, down here, screen stays on and auto refreshes. That's a handy one. I like to keep that one on. There are a ton more radar settings here. Feel free to go through them yourself and customize your radar, but I'm going to get right in there. So to access the radar, I know you've been looking at it this whole video. It's this little lightning button in the bottom right corner. We're just gonna tap on that, and that opens up our radar. Awesome. So here's how you navigate. 1 tap, zooms you out. 2 taps, zooms you in. Now what's cool about this, you can see all the locations you've added as little dots. So these are different ones. That one's the one that it started out on, the home. And then finally, you can hold a tap to open up this little sub menu. This allows you to switch between other radars. That's what all of these buttons do. These are actually other weather radars that have their own detection systems. There's a better way to do that though, so I wouldn't recommend doing it through the sub menu. You can also do a bunch of other stuff. You can check the status of the radar you're using. This one says, okay, apparently it went down for a while, and it says the radar has returned to service. So that can be helpful if the radar's not updating or you think it might be down. And the best part about the sub menu is you can go to any location. Let's just do this one covered in a storm. If I hold this down, first of all, I can show warning. I can see what warning that location is under right now. There's all the info. And then the other thing I can do is I can actually see the forecast of that specific location. So I can see there's severe thunderstorm watch. I can see what it's gonna look like every day of the exact GPS coordinates, which is so stinking cool. But the only problem with the radar, in fact, in my opinion, the only problem with the entire app, you cannot pan around. There's no way to move this map other than zooming in and zooming out. So it shouldn't matter, right? Because you can, if you do the settings I said earlier, it'll center you on your location. So you don't need to like pan around, right? But I just want to. It's just such a natural inclination and I can't do it. Yeah, don't let that stop you though. That's just one little wrench in a great app. Anyway, there are still more features here. Bottom left corner, we have what time this snapshot was taken. And this uses military time. It says 1955 right now. I don't think there's a way to change that one, but I might be wrong because there's a lot of hidden settings in this app. Let me know. And in the bottom right, these 3 letters actually tell you which radar you're getting your information from. So if I tap on that, this shows me a list of every radar to choose from. And this one, you can pan. It's not that hard to do, guys. So let's say I just wanted to pick, I could easily switch between whichever one I want. We'll stick with this one for now though. Next to that, we have the type of radar being shown. So if I tap on that, there are a lot of types. This is an incredibly advanced feature. We just don't have time to go into this today. But let me know if you guys want a deeper dive into the world of WXL23. I could definitely make that for you. But right now, we're gonna move on. Next, we have the play button. This lets you see an animation of any storms, anything in the radar, and how it's progressed. So if I tap on that, it will just show me select number of animation frames. And this literally means how many increments back do you want to go? So for example, if I choose 20, you'll see the timestamp drops pretty significantly, about an hour and a half, and then slowly it moves forward, and this is how the storm has changed over about the last hour and a half. Pretty cool. And I'll just stop that. And finally, these numbers in parentheses tell you how many warnings there are of each type in all of America. So if I tap on that, it gives me a complete list. We've got 9 severe thunderstorm warnings going on right now, everywhere from Texas to Virginia. And then at the bottom, 1 flash flood warning in Norman, Oklahoma. Pretty cool. Now those are just about the basics. Now you know how to use this weather app as just your typical weather schlub who just wants to stay on top of the current weather. But there is a ton more to do. We've only looked at the home page, but there is an SPC tab, which stands for Storm Prediction Center. And these are all the different tools they use to predict storms, all of which just have a lot going on with sub-menus, with tons of settings, super advanced stuff here. And we also have a miscellaneous tab that just shows you a bunch of other stuff, also with a ton of other options. So dive in for yourself, and guys, please let me know if there are any cool tricks you discover or settings that I should be using that I'm not. And let me know, of course, if you want to see another video where we dive even deeper into this app, because there is a ton more to discover. Take that, weather. That's all for now. Have a nice day.
You said it was the last time, but you keep coming back to tell me sorry that you take back all the things you said just to hurt me.